Hi, I'm Ann Hayek, and I'm back for another video of dating and marriage. Do women really marry their fathers? Which side of the camp are you on? Yes or no? I find it a little frustrating that this is thrown out there all the time. Even I just saw in a recent Catholic podcast somebody talking about it, and I'm like, you know what? That is not always true for better or for worse. And in my situation, that was frankly the last thing that I wanted to do was marry somebody like my father. Now, if you have a great father or had, whether he may be passed, that might be good, but that doesn't always happen either. So I would say maybe 50% of the time that's what happens for better or worse, that you marry somebody like your father. So, how do we avoid that? Or how do we make sure that that happens, depending on what kind of dad that you have or had? Well, it takes a lot of self knowledge, for one. So, if you had a great father, or you didn't have a great father, we can often marry what we're used to, what we've seen, what is comfortable, even if it's not positive, and that is where people end up marrying somebody like their father for worse. And then there are people who have great fathers, that's what they're used to, and they marry somebody like that. And the opposite is true. I don't think as often people who don't have great fathers marry a great man. I did, but it took a lot of work on myself and my list that I have mentioned and we'll talk more about. But there also is women who have had great fathers and did not marry a great man. So, obviously, we all wanna marry a great person who's going to be kind and loving, and then you can have your list and ideas of what you like yourselves, but you need to know what they are. So if you want to marry a great man, get out your list. Start writing the things. If you had a great father, write the things that you liked about him down. What did you like? And that's what you would like to find in somebody else. If you didn't have a great father, then start writing the opposite of the characteristics that he had that you don't want to have. And you need to keep those in the forefront of your mind. Believe me, there are great men out there and women for you men looking, you just need to believe it, pray about it, and write it down. So, first thing, if you had a great father, write his great characteristics down and make sure that that is what you expect and that you feel like you deserve because we are all children of God. We deserve, all of us, nice, kind, loving people. So, you deserve that no matter what. And also pray that you are the same. And we want to be our best for our spouses or future spouses as well. So clearly, we need to work on ourselves because in marriage, no matter who you are and how great you are or aren't, half the issues come from you and half will come from your spouse. So we all have lots to work on. But that's a video for another time. So, some reasons why people um, marry whoever they do isn't just necessarily their father, but it also can be their grandfather. It can be relatives that they don't even know. I have heard moms say, my daughter married somebody like my uncle, who the daughter never knew, or she married somebody like her great uncle, and who the daughter never knew, or the mom's grandfather, who the daughter never knew. There's something about the memory of our past ancestors that's in our bodies. And sometimes people marry somebody that is like a marriage or a person, from their past. And it's, some type of memory that our genes have. But whatever it is, you want to be aware of it because sometimes these aren't positive relationships either. And then sometimes you don't know where they came from. But value and worth of yourself is a huge thing that you might need to work on to make sure that you do marry somebody who is wonderful and good. And again, think about who you want for your children. Sometimes, if you cannot focus on this person being good enough for me or I don't deserve it, if you have any thoughts like that, think about your children. Who do you want for your children? What kind of father do you want for your children? And start writing those things down too, because that's who this person is going to be. So you want to look for all of these things, write them all down. Make sure you go over it, add to it, change it. So that's a very important thing to keep you on track so that you don't fall off the wagon and don't go by your list and somebody's cute and off you go, right? So, so we want to be very intentional of what we're doing because it is so easy to get sidetracked. So and so was a friend of a friend and they seem so nice, or you forget your list altogether, or they were so charming, or whatever it is, fill in the blank, and the list will bring us back to reality. You want to put on there, how do your parents solve problems? What do you like and not like about that? Maybe you run the other way when they're having a conflict. And other than that, they're great, or maybe it's just a conflict about money and you can't even be in the room or the house if that happens. Write down those things that you want to be able to talk through everything with them. Big on your list should be that they should be your best friend. So when my husband and I started dating, before that, my brother was one of my best friends and probably the one, well, he was the one that I went to for advice for everything and called him about everything. Maybe you have a great father for that. I didn't. So was my brother. And that was wonderful and great. What I didn't realize when I started dating my husband, and it didn't happen until I started dating my husband, was that got all my advice and everything. I wanted his opinion on everything. I wanted to know what he thought when we were dating about whatever was going on. I wanted his advice. I wanted his opinion. And that can be hard. And those relationships that used to be close, that change when you find the person that you're going to marry. But your best friend, you ask those things of your best friend, and that best friend should be the one that you are dating. You should be able to talk to them about the good, the bad, and the ugly in your life. They should be willing to listen and to give you advice. I mean, and sometimes we get advice, we don't like it, whatever. But, if that's not who you're thinking of every time you want advice, if you don't want to know it, let's just say his name is Bob, what Bob thinks, well, then maybe you're not with the right person. Or do they give you bad advice and they suggest things that don't fit what you would really wanna do, or it just doesn't work? There's another sign right there. So put down on your list across the top, my best friend, because you are going to be spending the rest of your life with this person. Remember, your children are going to come and go. And I know before you have them, that sounds like fleeting, but it happens so fast. They grow up so fast. And who are you there with? Your spouse. Whatever happens in life, your spouse, after your children, no matter how long you have children in your house, 20, 30 years, after that, it's you and your spouse, and you need to be able to enjoy each other and enjoy spending time together and wanting to spend time together. And if that's not your best friend, where does that leave you? You have a lot of work to do in your marriage to establish that if that's not who it is already before you get married. I can't even imagine, to tell you the truth. I really can't. Um, I go to my husband for everything, and I can't imagine. I want to spend my time with him. I want to tell him things. I want to laugh with him. So if that's not your first person, and who you vacation with, going on vacation causes crises before you're even dating or even talk about it, and it's a problem. Think of those things. This is your life, and you are tied to that person. So you want to be able to work things out, enjoy similar things, just like you do with your best friend. Sure, you have different interests too. That's the beautiful thing about being different human beings, is that you will bring different interests to the relationship as well. But you have a foundation, you have that core of what you like to do that is in line with each other, that you enjoy together, whether it's golfing, playing board games, certain movies, all of the above. I mean, the more you have in common and the more you enjoy to do together, the better. I mean, you want to say, well, I love to play board games and we don't like anything else in common. And so that's all, you don't have other options. I mean, life is varied. So put those things down on your list and see, what are you doing with this person? How are you spending your time when you're dating? And do you want to go to them? Like I said, when you have, uh, you know, something you want to make a decision on, or there's a problem at work and you want to talk over it. Is this a person that you want to talk it through with? And if not, that's a big red flag, you know, big red flag. So remember, God is dreaming of somebody greater than you can dream of for yourself. And throw that at God's feet and smile and, hold on to that thought because that's an amazing thing. Amazing thing. God does way better than we do when we choose stuff for ourselves. So reflect on yourself and who are you? What are you like? So when you know yourself, what you've grown up with, those ideas in your head, do you expect that the person is going to be kind? Do you expect that they're going to listen to you when you talk? I, are they somebody that you have good conversations with now? So know yourself. And that helps you to define this list and to see, am I going to really accept the person on this list? Am I gonna just the next cute guy that asks me out, I'm gonna go and go along with that, and you need to be really evaluating from day one as well. Dating is not and should not be a recreation. You date to mate. And so you give that person time enough, sit back, see who they are. How do they treat you? How do they treat their friends? You want to look at all of those things so that if you do wanna marry somebody like your dad, you do, and if you don't, you don't. So you are definitely not destined to marry somebody like your father, like I said, for better or worse. So make sure you know what those assumptions are in your head, whether you feel like you want and deserve a good person so that you do marry somebody like your father if he was a good person, or that you don't if it was the opposite, or somewhere in between. Write them down, get that down, and know what you want and what you are looking for and what you will put up with. Nobody's perfect, so we don't need any of these pie in the sky things, or like sometimes on the Hallmark Channel these guys are like so touchy feely. I'm like, that is so not reality. It's just people don't say things like they do. That's why there's scripts and they're made up. There's a lot of stuff out there that's like a little over the top, if you ask me. But in any case, make sure you know yourself and also look at the relationships and the person that you are dating. Look at their family. Like I've said, how do they treat their mother? How do they treat their sister? How do they treat their father? How are they with them? What are the relationships like in his family, his parents, aunts and uncles? If you get to the point of meeting them, keep your eyes open. Look and see because whatever he's used to is what he's going to expect. And that may or may not gel with you. So, and I have to say, women, you're going to be more on the ball for these types of things. Men, I certainly hope that you are doing these things, especially in today's day and age. And you also want to be focusing on the fact that you're going to be spending the rest of your life with a person that should excite you, that you will be with them until the end of your time on this earth, and that you hope it is a really long time. If you are not thinking things like that right away when you think somebody might be for you, that's clearly a red flag. And I knew this woman that I worked with way back a long time ago, and she was dating a guy. They were talking about getting married. And after she broke up with him, she happened to mention to me that she was already thinking, well, we can always get divorced. And luckily, she caught herself in that thought and went, and I don't know how long she had that thought for. Was it months? Was it weeks? Was it years? I don't know. But she at least was like, "Wait a minute, if I'm thinking this now, this isn't a good sign." So if you're thinking that, that's not a good sign, and divorce should not be an option. You should not be thinking that. You should be thinking of staying with the person for the rest of your life, and when you have a good foundation, that makes it a lot easier. Mean, we've been together for 20 years, and I look forward to the next 20. Frankly, I look forward to the next 40. I wish I'd met my husband when I was 16. I would have married him then. And our parents would not have been happy, but, I miss the moments of our lives that we didn't spend together, but I am glad that we have the rest of our lives to spend together. So, and that's after raising children and going through all the fun stuff that life throws at you. And life throws things at you. So think about that. I mean, think about people you know about. I just got a prayer request from somebody who they're pregnant, and the woman has found out that the baby has half a head. I mean, these are tragedies that happen in marriages. That's hard, and you want to make sure that you are turning to each other. Everything in life happens you're dealing with it together, whether it's births, deaths, funerals, you know, um, tornadoes, hurricanes. I mean, life throws at think of all the things that you have. Your child gets a horrible disease, you're dealing with that together, and you wanna make sure that that's like this and not like that when you have these things to deal with, and none of us know what's gonna happen the next day, but you need to be able to conquer the world and lean on each other when the things don't go right, whatever it is, big or small, job losses, jobs and take you and move across the country. I mean, these can be challenging. These can be things that you need to work on. Sometimes they're jump for joy, and sometimes it's like one person's excited, the other person's like terrified, or like, I don't know if I want to do that, but this is our family. So there's a lot that you is on the line here, and you want to make sure that person is who you want to be with. So make your lists and know yourself. And then make sure that you pray, of course. Pray, pray, pray. Pray. I used to do a pray, get on with it, get over to get on with it novena if I felt like I was hung up on somebody that there was, even if it was just a crush or I was dating somebody, if I was like, you know what, this isn't working and I got to end this, or I need to not have a crush on this guy for, stupid things we get hung up on, right? And I actually would do a 54-day novena. And let me tell you, in the first week, I'd be moving on. It would just, whatever chains those were would be broken and off I would go. And of course, you finish the novena. So that's the big guns, which I personally like the big guns. But whatever you're doing, throw it all at God's feet and have Him help you as well. Have Him help you make your list. He wants you to be together forever too. And it is for better or for worse. I mean, people get injured, people have horrific injuries in marriage. You've heard of, the woman gets injured in a car accident or the husband, whatever. These are things that can be thrown at you in your life. We don't know what the next day is going to be. So make sure that that person that you're with, that you are evaluating them for all of this. It's not like you're going to go on a date and you're going to, literally check off boxes and interview them. You just want to have conversations, see how they talk to you, see how do they treat the wait staff if you're out at a restaurant? How are they when they drive? Are they crazy? Are they fine? They're just everything. You want to take that in and do some evaluation and keep your feet on the ground. So, back to the whole, do you marry your father? Well, or somebody like him? It depends. Like I said, I hope you do if you have a great father and your parents have a great relationship. And I hope you don't if it's the other way around, but you got to keep your eyes open, your list clear, and know yourself so that you will do what you really want to do. I mean, nobody dreams of a horrible wedding and a marriage. Nobody dreams of that. So, and in these days, day and age, too many people give up too fast. We're just going to take the abuse stuff. That's in a whole different world. Okay. Aside from that, too many people give up too fast. And when challenges come up, if you don't deal with them together, that can really drive a big wedge between you. And then you need to bridge that back. Some people don't. Some people don't know how. You gotta, it's marriage. And so you have to be careful of resentment. You have to be careful at pointing fingers at each other. So be careful of that in your dating relationship. How are you doing with that? So, what traits would you choose and put on your list? Share with me in the comments. And if you're somebody that is married, put down there, did you marry your father for better or worse? Somebody like him? What did you do in your dating and marriage world? Let me know your thoughts and what you think. I hope this was a ray of hope for the ones of you who don't want to marry somebody like your father. And I hope it was a little push in the right direction for those who do, to make sure that you do marry somebody like your father. I am praying for you. I hope you have a great day. And I'm Ann Hayek. I will see you next time.